All right, let's get you tucked in now.
Can you tell me a bedtime story?
Okay, what's the story you want to hear?
I want to hear the road to redemption.
A long time ago, there was a great franchise that had a great fan base. One day, the franchise was stolen away from them, and everybody was lost. Sometime later, a new franchise was founded in place of the old one, but its leaders and GMs and coaches, they were never able to return them back to the former promised land. They sinned very often and very publicly. They signed veterans way past their primes. They took players in the draft that didn't deserve to be in the league. They drafted players at unimportant positions, like ones that were good at stopping the run when the league was a passing league. These same GMs, they would draft quarterbacks that didn't have strong arms, or they had really strong arms but couldn't even throw a screen pass accurately. They even drafted one. This guy was 28. Yeah, 28-year-old rookie. Pretty crazy, huh? They even picked a quarterback who valued partying over football. If it wasn't one bad pick, it was another. And one day it took a young lawyer from Harvard, a guy who knew very little about X's and O's, but he knew a lot about salary caps and numbers. His name was Sashi. Sashi recognized the path that the Browns were going down was a bad one. And instead of following this road and slightly altering course from time to time, he said, we're burning it all down. We're going to blaze a new trail. We're going to do things differently. Not to scare you, but this was a very difficult path. There was tons of bad things on the way that you could run into. And these fans, they had been down a long, long, hard road before. They were beaten down and tired from all the years of Sunday shellackings and false promises. Many fans recognized the new road as the only chance to finally get the team back to that promised land what they once lived. But many of the other fans, they couldn't handle it. The road was too scary. It was too hard. They jumped ship. They're probably Steelers fans right now or Bengals fans. They couldn't see the roses through the weeds. And like them and the beat reporters, they spread rumors and uninformed information. This information, along with other factors, played a big part in that persecution of Sashi and he ultimately lost his job. Sashi died for the sins of the previous regimes.
Who were those bad people who got rid of Sashi?
Well, that's a long story. Just know that one of Sashi's disciples, Judas, betrayed him, and ultimately it was the judgment of Pontius Pilate, Flying J, that brought him down. But that's a story for another time. We'll get into that at a different time. In Sashi's short time as Browns GM and its subsequent death, he opened up the gates of draft capital and free agency. And out of his ashes rose a quote-unquote football guy who came to be known as John Dorsey. He recognized the road had already faced its most adverse times, and he was close to the home stretch. He was going to follow this plan through. He saw that he had a nice foundation of young, talented players, young freaks like Myles Garrett, and a chief who was named Njoku. He had some big uglies like Batonio and Zeitler, Ogunjobi and Agba, and a Duke. Yes, the Duke. How the people love the Duke. He took these assets. He added players like Denzel Ward, who was known to be just the best shutdown corner of his time. And he made the one pick that changed it all. You know him. That's right. The old gunslinger himself, Baker Mayfield. Your Uncle Adam and I, we rode down that path. 2016 and those 2017 years, they were some of the toughest years we survived, but we barely made it through. It was around 2018 when things really turned. They put it all together. And it was shortly after we finished paving that path all the way back to where we belong, back to our promised land. And that path will forever be remembered. That road that we took, that's the road that we call the road to redemption. The end. Sleep tight, little one.
Browns 0-8 at home. Just sad.
I haven't heard you this down since Sashi Brown got fired. It's a game that we're in, and it's a game that we just don't finish.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Why? Why does that happen? I'm so sick of watching those plays.
0-16.
I definitely do not want to watch it all 22.
That's up and down to me. That looks like dysfunction. Surviving this season. Season 3, Episode 1. We are back. A new season, new intro. Bam, we are starting anew. The road to redemption, you might say.
Yes. Feels good. Season 3, we've been waiting for this, right?
We have been waiting. I am one of your hosts, Adam Hare. Gregory
I'm the other.
is another host.
What is up today?
I'm fired up. We got all kinds of new shit. I really like your little opener there with your daughter, Eviana, making her podcast debut.
Thank you. She needed to know the history. And this is what it is. This year right here, man. This is the road to redemption right here. We have been pissed on. We've been punched in the face, kicked in the nuts. We just suffered through 1-31, 4 and whatever the hell. What are we, 4-44 in the last 3? Since 99, nothing good has come out of this. We haven't made the playoffs. Oh, wait, we made the playoffs 1 year. We made the playoffs 1 year. We missed playoffs 10-6 1 year as well. It's just, this is what we've been waiting for. And I still think we're 1 year away from seeing what this team's fully capable of, but this is what we've been waiting for. This is the kind of talent we are waiting for this team to finally acquire. Young talent with tons and tons of upside and just ability. I cannot wait for this year. Finally, this team is back on course, man. It's going where it needs to go here.
It's really the junior year. This is
the junior year.
What we've been talking about. Freshmen and the sophomore year are gone. A lot of anger, as you guys could hear in our new intro. A lot of anger, a lot of disappointment. We're done with that. It is time to win some games.
Yeah, this is winning time, man. Like, we didn't expect to be good. To be good. The first show we ever did, we said, look, we're going to be bad for 2 years. We're tearing this thing down. And along the way, we've had a lot of people going, that's what they bring up, 1-31. Yeah, no shit. Who gives a shit? That's in the past, man. I'm looking forward. Look what we have now. You don't have Myles Garrett. You don't have Baker Mayfield without being that bad. And right there, that is the foundation. You have an elite pass rusher and what's going to be an elite quarterback. I think we're seeing that already in 5 days at camp. And I'm not anointing the guy, but trust me on this one. This guy is the real deal. He's going to take us to where we need to go. And I think everybody's starting to finally see that.
It's time to win.
You suffered. Browns fans suffered, man. We suffered for so long. And this being third year, this is a big one for us because this is what we've been waiting for. But these 3 years, man, the 2 years prior, I mean, this has been quite the experience for me and you. I'll speak for you on this one because when we started, we did this as like, let's just record the conversations that we have after the game and see what comes of it. And it's just grown into something I don't think either one of us expected. We've become part of a community that I didn't even know existed. I knew that there was such a thing as Browns Twitter. I knew there was passionate fans, but I don't think we knew that it was this big and people were this great. I mean, the people that have stuck around through this thing and that we talk to on a daily basis, if it's not Twitter or if it's through emails or sending us comments or whatever, it's just been fantastic. I couldn't be any more appreciative of all those people. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really do appreciate that. I'm glad to be doing this, creating something that you guys cherish, that you guys appreciate, and that you're getting something out of it, that we can make something, and Browns fans are taking that and they're getting something out of it, and they really appreciate it. And that's, I just can't say enough how, like, we're so thankful for everybody out there.
Agreed. It's been pretty awesome. For basically usually not sticking with anything or starting a lot of stuff and then not continuing through. To say 2 years ago that we'd be sitting here doing a third season is pretty fucking crazy to me. Almost 120 episodes, I think, overall. That's just crazy. It's bonkers. And God, if you were smart enough to not watch the last 2 seasons...
God bless you.
Yeah. I'm not going to take down our shows anymore. I know in year 1, I took down... we were kind of going to do a thing where we erased the season before, but I kind of want to leave them up there as something we can go back and listen to. Our guest list has been super amazing. Super thanks to our guests. Pete Smith's going to be on here today. He was our draft partner through that process, through those live shows. If you guys are new listeners, you can go back and listen to any of those. Just super thankful to people that agreed to come on the show, scheduling their own time. Jake Burns taking a lunch break to talk to us. Just awesome to really be part of this whole group that's sort of revolutionizing the way we get info and the way we communicate about the Browns. It's just so new and exciting to be part of.
Yeah, it's really crazy that there's that many people that are that passionate, and the one thing, it doesn't matter, like there's people we don't agree with for not just Brown. I mean, heck, there's people that I don't agree with on your political stances or whatever the hell else. A lot of times you see people talking about. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all Browns fans. Who cares? That doesn't matter. The thing that I love is we all come together. We all want to see a winner, and that's going to happen. I'm not predicting that. I'm telling you that 100%. The players on this team are going to take us to where we need to go. And I fully expect that. I don't know if I still think we're a year away. I think we got a pretty solid team here, but we're still young, and we still need those big time players to establish themselves. Baker Mayfield being one, and Garrett to get in a full season. We got some work. Njoku, I think, is still a year away. But man, it's these core guys that is finally going to take us to down that road to redemption. We're going right down that road to redemption. You're going to probably hear that a lot this year, because that's what it is to me. We've suffered through that, all the sins that's happened before. Sashi giving up his GM life for this.
No more keep on surviving, right? Now it's hashtag road to redemption. We survived for 2 years. Now it's something new.
That's right. Yeah, and now you finally get payback for that suffering, man. That's what that is. I'm happy that we're going to be here to do it with all of you, and I hope everybody gives us feedback and communicates back. We want to hear you. That's important to us. I love that stuff. I love having those conversations with people just about salary cap, or hey, what do you think about whatever it is. What do you think about that call on 3rd and 7? Let's do it. That's what takes us away, clears our mind of our, the daily routines where we're doing the mind numbing stuff that we do throughout the day, and we can finally clear our heads. Let's do something all together. And yeah, once again, just thank you so much for everybody out there that's been a part of this.
Yeah, I do also have to thank our patrons on Patreon.
Absolutely.
Our executive producers, Andrew Piccone, Ben Bracey, Mike Lamb. What's up, Mike? Ryan Naufel, the Mike Skinner, and the Walmart parking police. Sorry. That just makes me laugh every time I see it. The Walmart parking police. Thank you. That is funny. We appreciate your guys' support there. Patreon.com STS Podcasts.
Yeah, Walmart doesn't even know that they've been sponsoring the podcast for 2 years.
Stupid funny.
I know not everybody can donate, but those that you do, thank you very much. If you can, every bit helps. We do have some expenses. We spend money on just getting information, more information. Like I buy every single football book that I can buy. We subscribe to Pro Football Focus to make sure that we can give you any extra info. We pay for NFL Game Pass. You know what? I'd probably buy these things anyways, to be honest. So I gotta be honest. But anything that anybody can donate, we truly do appreciate it. It really does help out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hopefully we're going to have some merch soon. Hopefully.
Yeah, we've only been teasing that for the last year and a half. So
yeah. It's coming. It's coming.
Road to Redemption shirts.
Yeah. So without more of this schlag or housekeeping or whatever you want to call it, Pete motherfucking Smith is here.
Yeah, he will be here. Looking forward to continuing down that road with everyone out there.
Thanks, Greg. Thank you to you. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Actually, thank you. I'm glad you said that because once again, you brought it up a little earlier. It's to not really ever put this much effort into something, right? And to stick to it. But yeah, you held me accountable a number of times, and I appreciate that when I was being a lazy ass and just being there. I know I've probably done it to you a couple times where it's like, you want to record? Yes. Let's do it. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Let's go. People want to hear shit, so let's get it out. So yeah, it's been fun. So thank you very much as well.
Absolutely. All right, let's get on with it. Pete Smith, everybody.
All right.
We welcome back Pete Smith from NFLSpinZone.com, our favorite guest and part of our live draft show that was awesome as fuck. You can hit him up on Twitter at _Pete Smith _Pete. Welcome back. Season 3, episode 1. You are our honored guest.
I'm always happy to be reigning champion guest.
Greg's also here down there somewhere.
What up? What's going on?
Training camp's going on. I believe Pete was there over the weekend. Greg, you were there maybe Friday. And I think you had a wife veto maybe for yesterday.
Yes. Terrible. Angered me greatly. I still have like 8 days left on the itinerary. So even if I can make half, I'll be happy with that.
Good enough. So let's start offensive side of the ball. I've heard awesome things about Mayfield. I don't know if that's going to create some controversy. Oof. You guys have seen Tyrod and Mayfield both play. Pete, where you at with our new toy?
Our boy can play. He's really, really, really good. And it's not to take it away from Tyrod Taylor, who's been as advertised. Whatever you thought Tyrod Taylor was, protect the ball, efficient, doesn't make stupid decisions, but isn't super aggressive with the ball. That's what he is. And he loves to throw to Jarvis Landry for like 8 yards, and it looks good. They catch the ball, and it's good. And then Mayfield's in there. He's got a better ball, works a little bit quicker, and he's more aggressive. It looks a lot like it did at Oklahoma. It looks a lot like that in terms of some people, and I remember talking about this pre-draft, people were like sort of knocking him that he didn't always take that first open read, and you're seeing that, and he's going aggressively down the field. But at the same time, he hasn't thrown an interception yet. He's just killing poor Greg Williams, that second unit. Now, this is all under the caveat that he is going against the second-team defense for the most part. But don't blitz him. He will kill you, and has absolutely torn apart Greg Williams blitzing on him to the point where it's like, if he does it, chances are Mayfield's not only going to beat you, he's going to score. So, yeah, he to the question of, is this going to be a controversy? I don't know if it's going to be a controversy, but at some point in the not too distant future, I think there's going to be a conversation in that coaching office, and maybe it's a question of if Dorsey's going to allow Hugh to do it. But Baker Mayfield, if this was an honest competition, would beat out Tyrod Taylor. He is that good.
What do you mean by that, Pete? If Dorsey would allow Hugh to do it?
My longstanding belief is that Hugh Jackson is in an audition to see if he's going to be Dorsey's coach, and with Dorsey comes Baker Mayfield.
Dorsey's like, don't mess with my product, right?
Right. I think when you traded for Tyrod Taylor, when you traded for Jarvis Landry, when you signed Carlos Hyde, all those vets that Hugh claims he wanted, and that's basically his audition. Those are his guys to see if he can coach for this team. He can't, but that will be the test to me. I don't envision, and I could be wrong, that maybe they'll be so blown away by Mayfield that they have to put him in there and they'll let him do it. But so much of this feels like, and the amount of like defensive backs on 1-year deals and all that stuff, that so much of this is seeing who Dorsey's coaching staff is going to be and then acting accordingly.
Yeah, it's really astonishing being out there and going from what you had last year at quarterback, where we just sat in the stands on the couple days that you're there, and you go, oh boy, we're in trouble at quarterback. Like, there's nothing. We have nothing to work with. And then just the one day I was there, it would just, everything was so smooth, and it didn't matter who was in there. Baker's out there, Tyrod's out there. Everything was running smoothly. You could tell both guys knew where to go with the ball. There was no there was no rookie mistakes. There's not rookie mistakes out of Baker right now. But yeah, I don't know if it's Dorsey so much saying to Hugh. I feel like Hugh. The thing I worry about is that Hugh is so shell shocked from what happened with Kaiser that now he's doing a complete 180, and now he's going to say, no matter what, you're not starting, even if you show that you are by far the best guy. And Baker has a long way to go there, but I tend to agree with you. I was actually telling Adam this. We were talking about this earlier, and I'm like, to me, Baker is probably a better quarterback right now. And I've only seen it one time. And I think the more and more we see it, the more and more you're probably going to go, Baker's the better quarterback because of the exact thing you said. He takes those shots downfield. Yes, there is some risk with that, but with that risk comes reward. And you have to make plays like that in the NFL to win. You can't just rely on throwing it, checking down all the time. And you just don't win that way. You have to be able to push the ball down the field. I mean, Tyrod's done some of that, but I think that's where Baker is definitely a little bit better.
Is the whole thing
here? Go ahead.
Is the whole thing stupid to call a positional battle a controversy? I mean, we wouldn't talk about this for any other position, except the quarterback position is suddenly a controversy. I know you want to sort of name a leader and then get that guy in with the first team and start to build some rapport. But how important really is that compared to just playing the best player and let's go win some games?
I think it's overrated. I think with where the team is now, coming off 0-16, I don't look. I get it from a standpoint of the media asks you like 1,000 times about the quarterback if you don't, but realistically, you're not like a team that's trying to push for a playoff spot or, a championship where you don't want to upset the apple cart type deal. You are a winless football team, and there should be an element to this where nobody has a job. You'd think that you were this bad. How does anyone have a guaranteed job? And obviously certain guys do. Like Joel Bitonio is obviously your left guard. It's not like, you're going to have an open left guard competition, but you literally flush the quarterback room. There's nothing that says you can't be honest with it. And to his credit, if you listen to Tyrod Taylor talk, despite what Hugh Jackson says, he talks about it like it's a competition. He knows what's coming. And certainly a part of that is the fact that, look, he was drafted number 1. It's not like they drafted him to not play. So he is cognizant of that, and he's always trying to compete. And I like that. And I like the fact that those guys seem to understand it, and they both have a similar mindset in how they sort of approach. But I don't think there's a rush. I guess the only thing I could say that you could make the argument for is because of the way practices are in the NFL, that there are less reps. But it seems like, to me anyway, that when I was there, it seemed like Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield almost got even reps anyway. But I suppose as you get further along, it's going to become more starter and scout teams type stuff. But I think it's an overrated concept to be an 0-16 team and say we have to name our quarterback first. But, this is Hugh Jackson. He can help himself.
Good. Also, we're going to see more Mayfield in preseason games, I would assume, just because Tyrod's been around a while.
Yeah, you would think that they're going to be smart about it and not have some of those guys take, a ton of reps that don't need it. And it's about getting polished and ready to go, as opposed to really looking to learn and progress, where Mayfield and some of those other guys can do that. And my hope is that like a guy like Corey Coleman is getting a ton of reps with ultimately both quarterbacks to get him on the right track, unless, his last couple of days are indicative of what's going to happen, that he's just going to be great and there's no worry about it. But if he's sort of up and down a little bit, I'm hoping that they'll get him a lot of reps with both those guys, and he can sort of hopefully, especially if, it's Mayfield in the twos and Corey Coleman's in there, that hopefully he, dominates a little bit.
So back to where we were talking about. Well, they were 0-16 team, right? But we had no business going 0-16 last year. Like we weren't
Right.
an 0-16
But I
team.
mean, let's
I'm gonna put
say
it out
3-13.
This is
Let's
the
say
hot.
3-13.
This is the hot take of the whole pod here. We're the best 0-16 to ever play in this league. So there's no hands down best 0-16 team ever. So,
certainly going to be better than the Buffalo Bills 0-16 team.
Oh, don't! I'm telling you, man, you cannot make the Bills Mafia will chase you down. They find out it's like they hear things. They can hear anything that you say bad about their team, and then they will find you.
Yeah, they can find me. They suck, and Josh Allen sucks.
As 0-16, we should have won 4-5 games. We had Tyrod last year. You're a 4 or 5 win team. When you look at the AFC East, there is a spot at the bottom of that playoff for anybody, and it's open. The AFC is just not that good compared to the NFC. NFC, you got to be at the top of your game to make the playoffs. AFC, very top heavy, and the bottom teams are all fighting for that bottom spot. If the Browns put this together, everybody plays up to their full potential, there is an outside chance. If you stay healthy, they have a tough schedule. These other teams hit bad spots, where they're getting injuries, that kind of things when you play them. The Browns can make, if the Buffalo Bills made the playoffs last year, the Browns have an outside chance at this playoff spot. So that's the one thing that I look at that you're saying they're 0-16, so it doesn't really matter that much. I think it does matter. I think the Browns actually have a chance to compete this year. I think you're going to see a different Browns this year, honestly, just because we just have so much more talent, one, and yes, the coaching staff could mess this all up, but even they can't take this talent and not find a way to win games, right?
Are you talking about playoffs with Mayfield or playoffs with Tyrod?
Whoever the best quarterback is. If you're going to play the best quarterback, to me, that's what you do. If Mayfield's better than Tyrod, you're going to win more games. If Tyrod's better than Mayfield, then you win more games with Tyrod. You know what I'm saying? So you play the best quarterback. We can't be afraid to play the best players if you have an outside chance of making the playoffs. And that's what they're trying to do. You don't bring in competition in every single position and then go, well, we're not going to play the best player. Every single other position. Nobody's going, well, Denzel Ward should sit. Well, they should sit, give me another name who we drafted this year that has an outside. Nick Chubb. Now we'll sit. Nick Chubb doesn't have a chance because there's veterans in front of him. Only the quarterback position we treat that? It doesn't make sense to me. If Baker Mayfield beats a 7-year proven veteran, then that means he's ready. Does it not?
You would think. I think your enthusiasm is a little over the top.
I know it, but
only because and I'm not suggesting he won't be playing, but if whatever let's say the worst case scenario plays out and Josh Gordon doesn't play this year, your win total, you might as well cut it in half.
Absolutely. Sure. I agree with that. And those kinds of things, that's what I'm talking about. If you have everybody here right now on paper and you stay relatively healthy as a team, you have a nice team here. You have good weapons.
Yeah. I think that the thing that's going to hurt is in certain spots, I don't think the Browns have a ton of depth. And I think that people who are trying to suggest that the Ravens are going to fall apart, who won 9 games last year, I think their team has a ton of depth. None of them may be terribly good, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but that defense is loaded, and they just have guys that are ready to step up. And, in certain spots the Browns do, but there are certain spots where, that falls off a cliff.
You just mentioned Josh Gordon. Let's get some takes down for what's going on with him. Some people are saying he just wanted to not be part of Hard Knocks. I guess he's working out in Florida. Is he? What do you think's here? Is this suspension? Is this trouble? Is this not a story?
I think the Hard Knocks angle of this is complete bullshit. I do think. Well, first I got the impression this was court ordered, and it was badly communicated by Gordon's people. That it was sort of caught by surprise. I don't think he's suspended for the season. I think the reporting was right on that. I think the Browns. I think people are reading into the Browns not saying anything one way or the other because I think the Browns are not allowed to say anything one way or the other. And
what court ordered? Why would it be court ordered though, Pete?
Just his whole, some sort of treatment program, something, this isn't a new thing for him. And I don't know if something happened that forced this or whatever, but I got the impression that this was not optional. But having said that, I do think, and this is why I didn't like the idea of him playing last year, is I thought, and I said this, and it took off on Twitter, no one will give a shit if Josh Gordon doesn't take a single rep in camp if he walks out of that tunnel against the Steelers. No one will care. All they're going to want to see is that dude come out and play, whether he gets a single rep. But I do think this is about him getting reps on how to deal with himself in the event that he goes off for 3 touchdowns or in the event that he has 0 catches. Either scenario could put him in a situation that he doesn't want to, go there. And I do believe the idea that, if he didn't fail a test, and again, the reporting is saying he didn't, that if he was worried that, he was in a bad place, the last thing anyone would want him to do is like gut it out for a week and then something awful happens and he fails and then he gets suspended. If this is what it takes, I mean, I hate to put it like this because you don't want to label him, but this is dealing with a recovering addict. This is what it is. Like, it was, people want to love Josh Gordon, the player, and all of his talent and stuff. Welcome to what this is going to be, life with Josh Gordon from this. And this is assuming it all works out and he's going to be a good member of this team. But this is what life with Josh Gordon, the football player, looks like. And, I am, I'm terrified of the idea of what would happen to this kid if he wasn't good at football. But, for his sake, it's going, if he can do it, it's going to save his life. That because he is good, that he has the ownership support, he has all these people fighting for him, that he's going to get, the best treatment and the best consideration and all this. Whereas, if he's a guy working a loading dock or selling cars, this is not an option anymore. And he,
right.
He's in a bad deal. So I'm not, I will put it like this. I have no expectations for Josh Gordon one way or the other. I will not be surprised by anything. That's where I'm at. So even when people were freaking out, I was sort of like, that this could always happen. I certainly would like him out there. It makes our team look a hell of a lot better. But anything's possible. The one thing I did note is, and I guess there's some video that was released that made people like worry about this Hard Knocks angle again. And I got the impression that the video was simply to like try to communicate that he was basically okay. Like that he wasn't,
I think he was like working out.
Yeah. Like I like that fueled this idea. Well, he wants to get paid to be on camera. No, I think this was his, him, his people or whatever group is around him. They basically wanted to send the message that like, he's okay. It's not like he's, harsh, treatment or jail or whatever anyone else wants to run this. I think that was just trying to send the message that, don't worry, I'm coming, that type of stuff. And we don't know a timeline. This could be a situation where it's like a week. It could be a couple weeks. It could be a month, it could be whatever. But, you basically just got to understand that when he gets out there, you throw the ball in the area, he'll go get it. Now, he's not a good route runner and all that stuff, but, you're basically going to have to be okay with the fact that he's going to be sort of an area code guy. But realistically, there's a part of me, and I hate to admit this, is like, it wouldn't hurt my feelings a ton if he just took the year off to totally get where he needs to be and come back for Baker Mayfield next year. But, that's where I'm at. But yeah, I'm not worried.
Let me ask you this though, like both of you, what is the point that you get to with a player? All right, what is the point where all right, we're all in 16, right? We need all the help we can get, but there's got to be a point you get with your team where it's like, look, we're trying to do something different, and this he's on a different level. We're going places, and he's still trying to figure it out. At what point do you go, it's just not worth it anymore? How far away are we with that?
I suppose the answer to that is not, it seems to be, at least from the Browns standpoint, it's not as long as he costs nothing, not as long as he doesn't cost a roster spot. I've always viewed this as the Browns look at him like intellectual property. where they basically own it and it doesn't cost them anything. They're going to hold on to it forever. In the same way, I expect the Jags still own the rights to Justin Blackman.
Yeah.
That they, until they're on the hook for something real, that they basically are just going to be like, no one else is getting, unless there's some like insane, trade offer thing where they're like, it becomes, too good to pass up and all that stuff. But, they really do seem all in on being committed to this. And I think it goes beyond football. And I think it's, in a cynical way, I do think this is ownership rehab in terms of rehabbing their image. I think they're trying really hard to along with making the team better. I do think that sort of being all in on caring about Josh Gordon is a way for them to try to improve their image publicly.
If there was another competent receiver right now that just went, okay, we don't have to worry about this guy. Like, we have another vet in there. And he's not on the line. I mean, look, it's nearly possible to get on the level of Josh Gordon. I mean, he's a top 10 receiver in the league for sure. So when he's playing, but if you can get a guy in there that is he's going to get the job done. He's very good. You don't have to worry about him. I almost wonder if that's all that it would take. It's like there's a little bit too much to worry about with Corey Coleman right now. There's not really another big receiver on the roster. Having Jarvis Landry helps that situation, but he's not enough to add. Like, you can't make him the sole focus of your offense. And then what if we start pushing for the playoffs and we're still doing this? Like, at some point they're going to go, it's, we just can't keep doing this where you're coming in and out. In my opinion, I don't know. Maybe they will. It just doesn't make sense how you can keep your team in limbo if we're competing, if we're finally competing for something. And who knows? Josh Gordon might be back. It might be nothing to worry about, but it is up to this point, this never-ending circle of, all right, you're in, you're out, you're in, you're out.
I just get the sense that ever since they didn't pull the trigger on whatever Banner was trying to get way back when he wanted to get rid of him, that they've basically decided that, they are all in on this thing because whatever they would move on to will never be as good as what maybe they could have had. That they're basically willing to just take this all the way, even if it makes it look bad. Again, that if they're going to be wrong, they're going to be wrong caring about him.
But there's other teams like, all right, like New Orleans. All right, you got Michael Thomas. He's a nice receiver. They don't really have big names outside of him, and he's not Josh Gordon. You look at New England. Yeah, they got Gronk. There's no other receivers that can even come near Josh Gordon, and I don't think either one of those teams would be putting up with this, like, because they're on the brink of it. I don't know. I mean, it's a question, I guess, it's a hypothetical, but it makes me think like, all right, this guy might be on his last chance, honestly. If I was the coach or GM, that's the way I would be treating it. I don't even know if I wouldn't even put up with it until now, honestly. I mean, we've talked about this before. I would have been done with it before, but it's just
yes.
So old.
Believe me, you and I have both washed our hands of this multiple times, and here we are again.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, hey, anything, like, I don't expect them to be here. Whatever you get with them is a bonus. So that being said, not knowing if the Browns know Josh Gordon isn't here, I know you've been on record saying you don't like Dez, but don't you think Dez adds you another big receiver that can actually give you something that you don't really have on this team right now?
Nope.
No, you don't see that?
Dez sucks. He's just bad. If you watch his tape. And this goes back to he had a fracture like below his knee that he tried to come back too fast from, and he's never been the same.
Oh, I agree. Dez is not the same Dez anymore. But Dez gives you, he fights. And when I look at that wide receiver group, outside of Jarvis Landry right now, who's our fighters? There's nobody there that really. I mean,
Dez fights.
He's been doing nice.
He fights his mom. He fights his teammates. He fights his coaches. And honestly, I worry about the vibe in the locker room right now for the Browns seems to be very good. I have my issues with Jarvis Landry, but he is, at least so far, he's been a positive influence on Corey Coleman, and everybody seems to be headed in a positive direction. Dez Bryant is a guy with a proven track record where he can disrupt that badly. I don't want him around Corey Coleman. I don't want him around Antonio Callaway. People don't seem to realize that he had a full-time babysitter in Dallas. His mom's issues are not good. Teammates don't want to deal with him. Coaches clearly don't want to deal with him. That he becomes negative, and I could see him and Jarvis Landry fighting over the same damn ball. Like, you can imagine a magazine cover where they're trying to catch the same damn ball and take it from each other. Like, they're so problematic in terms of being so, target centric.
Yeah.
Des Bryant's not going to be a number 3. He's just not that guy. It's like Carmelo Anthony's refusal to go to the bench. He's not a starting player, but he doesn't seem to understand that and is unwilling to change the role. Des Bryant, in his mind, is a number 1 receiver. And in the Browns, he's no better than 4th right now. And that could be 5th in a hurry.
See, I don't know. I mean,
and I'm not talking receivers. I'm talking weapons. I'm talking weapons, not necessarily receivers.
I got you.
So that means Njoku. That means Duke. That means Jarvis Landry. And then if he's consistent, and again, obviously we are higher on Corey Coleman than a lot of people, but he's had a couple really good days. Hopefully that continues. But if he's consistent, he is really good. And again, Des Bryant suddenly sitting there 5. He will not be happy. He will be a problem. And that's not worth it.
And sort of what I'm looking for is just sort of a guy that has done it before, because that's sort of the thing we're lacking. I mean, even David Njoku, I have my concerns about Njoku this year, and I think he's still a year away. He was incredibly raw coming out. So I think we're going to step forward, but I don't think he's ready to be like this game changer where he's going to be catching 80 balls this year. I don't think that's his thing yet.
Here's the thing.
Another year away.
Okay, a couple things. First, if you want a veteran receiver, I would sign Eric Decker. That's me. And I'm not saying Eric Decker is some great player, but you know what he is.
Right. Well, there's only so many guys out there you can pick from. It's a short list, let's be honest. So
yes,
Eric Decker
it is July 31st. There is number 1 receivers are not sitting out there for the Browns to go get. Your options are limited. So if you want a veteran, Eric Decker is a guy I would look at. Beyond that, David Njoku is legitimately unguardable. He is open at will. Now, he has to be more consistent with his hands. He's dropped a lot of balls, and he's, as Corey Coleman's winning over at people, I'm seeing, him get freaking David Njoku get heckled, which I think is absurd. But he is one-on-one drills with David Njoku are bullshit. He gets open at 5 yards of space at will. He's too big, too fast, too quick in and out of his breaks for anybody. And I think, when he starts consistently catching the ball, and he's probably always going to have a few drops, as have Eric Ebron, as has a guy like, what's his face, that played for the Saints and is now with the Seahawks.
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, he's a guy they've always dropped some balls. Now the difference is going to be that he's going to make more plays than he misses, and he's a problem. He's a nasty dude after the catch too. Yeah.
You want to talk about area code guy? That's your area code guy,
right?
Bro. Anyway,
and look,
that catch he had against the Jets last year. I mean, nobody makes that catch besides David Njoku.
Right, and he caught like 30 some balls last year. And that was with Deshaun Kaiser, who couldn't find him despite being wide open like he was Predator. Getting him to double his production should be easy. Easy.
I think there's going to be inconsistencies. Is what he was so incredibly raw, and I think his talent is through the roof. I mean, this is one of my guys that I've loved since the day we drafted him. I'm like, yes, I love this upside on this kid, but he's got a little bit of ways to go in the blocking yet, and just being more consistent with the hands. So
sure, and along with Corey Coleman, people have to understand, and they don't, and it drives me insane. Yep. He's 22. He's 20 freaking 2 years old. It's going to happen. Like, all these people are like, we want him to be Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is 24. His first year he did anything. 24.
Right.
David Njoku is a baby out there. Corey Coleman is, 24. He's 6 months older than Calvin Ridley, who's a rookie. Like, Let them do it.
I don't think people understand that. I don't think people recognize that enough. I was talking with Adam earlier, is that Baker Mayfield's older than DeShone Kizer. He's got way more experience than DeShone Kizer.
By 2 years.
To compare, well, didn't work out for Kizer, therefore it's not going to work out Baker Mayfield. They're on different levels, dude, coming in. They're not close to one another coming into the league. And it's the same thing. You get Njoku, who was, I believe, the youngest player in the draft last year, or if not,
second. I think he was second, but he was 20. He was 20 when they drafted him.
He's a fucking baby. He couldn't even drink yet, for Christ's sakes. Let these guys develop some. I mean, I'm with you 100%. We're way too often we're hard on these young guys because they were forced into roles that most teams wouldn't have rookies playing. They're not playing the bulk of the snaps usually on a good team. They work themselves in slowly. I mean, if people would have seen, what's the kid from Green Bay, the wide receiver who just signed the big contract this year?
Devontae Adams. Yeah,
Devontae Adams.
He was
first
terrible
and second
first
year.
2 years.
Terrible. They would have ran him out of town in Cleveland. I guarantee it. He would have been gone. Meanwhile, he's one of the most productive receivers in the league right now. So I'm with you 100%. We got to get into this, Pete, because nobody goes up toe-to-toe with people who want to send some love over about Jarvis Landry more than you. And I said, hey, Jarvis Landry, way too much money. Now that I'm watching him out there, seeing the things he's doing with Corey Coleman, just seeing him be an overall leader, I said, hey, we're paying for leadership here. Yes, not a great athlete, but he's going to do a nice job catching the ball underneath. He's going to do a nice job being a leader. You don't have love for Jarvis. Maybe you can explain to us why.
Well, I'll say this, if he is a huge factor in making Corey Coleman, the difference between Corey Coleman as a bust and Corey Coleman reaching his potential, he's going to get a lot of kudos to me. I mean, that's going to be money well spent if it means Corey Coleman's going to become the dude. Because here's what I'll say. The first day I was at camp, Corey Coleman to me was Will Fuller. What people expect out of Notre Dame, he was a deep dude. He got behind guys he's the fastest dude on the team, bar none. It's not even close either. He had a couple deep shots, like 4 in all, 2 were underthrown. He didn't come back and get them. Had one complete off Baker Mayfield, which was pretty, and then he got a PI that Todd Haley was, and I mentioned on Twitter, go make the, fight through and make the fucking play. And as you can call Todd Haley dramatic or whatever, he's 100% right on the coaching point. That don't be satisfied with the 30-yard PI, fight for the ball, and good things will happen. I'm 100% with him. That's a great coaching point. And I think Corey Coleman is a guy who needs coaching, a lot of coaching, because Baylor doesn't coach. All they do is, ruin women's lives. But so if you're saying Jarvis Landry is going to, if part of that money, and we'll see if it ultimately happens, is that Jarvis Landry guides a guy to Corey Coleman and maybe a guy like Antonio Callaway to being productive players for this team, then awesome. However, the arguments that I've heard were that Jarvis Landry is a good athlete. He's not. He's super skilled. He's super technical. He's super precise. Those are skills. He's very skilled. But even in camp, if you watch him, he's running the same routes he ran in Miami. For the people who are like, oh, it's only because he didn't run deeper routes. He's running outs. He's running little square ins. He's running, the only thing where he really goes deep, which I thought they've done a nice job with, is this like sort of in-seam play that's usually off play action from Tyrod and him. Those are good plays. But, anytime, and I don't know, it was like when you were there, but anytime they had a chunk play, it was not to Jarvis Landry. It was to Njoku. It was to Coleman. It was to Callaway. It was Higgins. To Higgins when he was with Mayfield. Those were the guys who get chunk plays. And my issue with Jarvis Landry is that fans have built him into something he isn't. And I've always maintained that I think people will hate him, and it won't be his fault. That he's going to be exactly what he was with the Dolphins, and people are going to hate him for it because he's the third highest paid receiver in the league, and he's not a superstar. He just isn't. And I was out with Chef Risden, Mac Robinson, another dude from Brownswire for like 4 hours yesterday, and I first thing I said to Jeff Risdon was, "Look, you trade me Golden Tate for Jarvis Landry?" And he goes, "No." Right, because Golden Tate's better than he is.
Yeah. Hands down. Yeah.
So absolutely. Look, and there are certain things I really like that they're doing with Jarvis Landry from an offensive package personnel. Like, I love that they're using him as a wing and he's totally into it, where he's almost like a tight end, or bunch personnel where he's inside and he can like block down like he does really well as a run blocker, or get out into his routes really easily. Those are legitimately great things. But again, it comes down to he's never going to, at least from a production standpoint, validate the contract. However, if he's doing these things that make him sort of, get guys on the right track where he's, and hopefully some of this is Landry himself maturing a little bit, because he wasn't that guy a lot of the time in Miami, and hopefully that doesn't come to fruition here. And maybe the contract will help that, he's basically got 29 million reasons to not get ejected, not, lose his shit, and to be a functioning member of, the team, and ultimately, be a great player. But the one question, and I asked the guys I was with last night, how does Jarvis Landry fit with a Baker Mayfield?
How does Jarvis Landry fit with Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
I don't know. Why do you think he's a bad fit for Baker?
Yeah, I just don't see. It's not like he won't use him or anything. I just see a more of a downfield attack type guy.
Oh, sure. I get that, but I think, okay, so right now with no Josh Gordon, the 3 wide receiver set was Landry on one side, Coleman on the other, with Callaway in slot. At least the first day I was there. I don't know if they switched that up when you were there, but I mean, I fully expect him to be in the slot in those 3 wide receiver sets.
Yeah, that's what that has been pretty consistent. That's been pretty consistently with what's going on.
The way I look at him is he's sort of like your Anquan Bolden. Like, he's just not your big time playmaker, but he's going to be a consistent route runner, catcher of the ball. I mean, Baker's going to be able to use him. I don't think Baker's going to use him the way Tyrod would, because I think Baker likes to push the ball down the field more. But the thing, Baker uses fullback pretty well at Oklahoma. He finds a way. I think if you're open, he's throwing it to you. I mean, if you're open,
that's a huge difference between Tyrod and Baker Mayfield. Tyrod, Jarvis Landry's is binky. Mayfield, he don't give a shit. You get open, the ball's coming. Yeah. Freaking Darren Fells got a bunch of balls, more balls than he's ever going to see in a real game. You get open, he'll find you. Darren Fells, and he catches it. He catches the ball when you throw it to him. It's not like he's bad, but Baker does not give a shit, man. You get open, he's going to find you. Like, freaking, I don't even know who Willies is, but Willies gets passes.
Yeah. I kept saying the same damn thing. Who the hell's this Willies kid? But, man, Baker's going to him a lot. Okay, with like the way I look at Landry is he's gonna like Stanton is the league's highest paid quarterback coach right now. I mean, Jarvis Landry is definitely the world's the highest paid in the history of sports wide receiver coach right now. It's something I look at it as it's something that the other guys really need. So a guy that goes in, busts his ass every single day, goes out and just plays hard. That's what he does. He talks a little trash. He is a good leader. He just look. He's made some mistakes before, but look, Ray Lewis may have or may not have been involved in a murder, but nobody's saying Ray Lewis isn't a good murderer or a good teammate. Like, he's a great leader. So I think you would say the same thing about Landry. Like, he's a good leader in that from what I've seen so far. So you're spending a way more money than what he's probably worth, but you have way more money than anybody has ever had in the history of football as well. So maybe it's okay to spend it on these things to make a better team. I think that's what Landry gives you, better team, maybe not the best player that you could possibly get for that price.
Jarvis Landry, as what he actually, I think Jarvis Landry as a player reminds me of Ben Coates, the old Patriots tight end.
Ben Winter Coates, yes.
That's who he reminds me of. That's the type of dude he is, where you're like, he was a really good tight end, but he wasn't like a super playmaker type guy. He's just
does he have to be the best, to be a good contribution to the team? You know what I mean? Like, yes, he's getting paid like it, but if you look at the rest if you look at the rest of the money that we're spending on wide receivers, let me look here because it's relatively low. We pay the 9th most with his contract this year. I'm sorry, the 26th, 9th most in the league, and that's with $14 million going to him. He's making double what the rest of the room makes. So they're not spending a lot of money on wide receivers except for him. So that's where it kind of makes sense. Right now you got Corey Coleman on a rookie contract and you're paying Josh Gordon like $600,000 or something ridiculous like that. Right. So I don't know, man. There's some give and take. Like, I get it that, he's not athletically worth $14 million, but I think he does add value in intangibles that you haven't seen there. I mean, look, we had Kenny Britt there, a guy, or Terrell Pryor. This is a better option, in my opinion.
Sure.
Let's move on from that. But
well,
I wanted to get.
We're well
past.
Too
much time left.
We're well past our hard stop. So
I know, but I want to get in. Yeah, I know we're over here, but I want to talk to Pete about the one position I'm really worried at. Since he was out at camp, we add Denzel Ward, but the other corners aren't doing it for me. Did you see anything out there, Pete?
No, I don't. None of them stood out to me. The one thing I will notice, a couple times I saw Simeon Thomas go up and make some plays. But to me, it's almost like, throw them all in a bag, pull one out type deal with the corner who's not named Denzel Ward at this point. And that may explain their, interest in still trying to get Bashard Breeland and some of these other dudes. The talk of Pac-Man is insane, but that could be why. But, honestly, it's not like they're going to be awful, although there are some people who think that they're going to be awful. But I do feel like John Dorsey signed all these 3 guys, and none of them are going to be worth that much. Like, they're 3 guys, and none of them are going to really hold down that spot. That's going to be sort of Denzel Ward and guys. Like it's almost like it's an anonymous jersey across the field. It's probably a number in the 30s, and they're not great.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. The nice thing is, if none of them work out, they're all seem to be on basically what is a 1-year contract with the way that they're worded. But almost like he was shooting, he was throwing darts trying to hit one. But 100%. I saw Denzel Ward look really fluid to me, man. He was right in the hip pocket all day, the day I was there. The other guys, man, they're just getting toasted. TJ Carey playing on the outside is not a good look. They need to probably go with Gaines or Mitchell or whoever else. I don't even know who's behind them. Denzel Rice, I guess, is getting a little talk, but I'm definitely worried about that. Adam, you got really much else?
No. If we got a wrap, we got a wrap.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get Pete back again.
Oh, 100%.
During training camp. We could have done the whole show on quarterbacks by themselves.
Pete, how excited are you just to be back with some football, though? Let's be honest here.
Well, for me, I've been back, but it's nice that the Browns are actually doing shit that I can actually look at and be like, it's actually doing stuff. Like it's so much more, I'm so happy to be done sort of talking, and to a certain extent, you'll still have this, but I'm glad to be done talking about sort of theoreticals. And now we're talking about actual, like, Emmanuel Ogbah actually looks like a fucking beast type deal. Yeah. Myles Garrett is a superstar. Like, those things we can start talking about as reality. Defensive tackle is a huge concern to me anyway. Like, we can start actually having a real conversation about where things are going. The linebackers look really good, like that type of thing. Jannard Avery is a freak of nature. I don't know how he landed in the 5th round.
Get ready, you're gonna see 4 of them out there at once, Pete. So get ready.
I had a joke with Ryan Burns that, like, he was talking about trading one of them. I said Greg Williams is going to put 6 out there to make his son Blake look good in one formation. And I'll tell you, man, Michael Kendricks is a dirty shorts dude, man. He gets down and goes and finds stuff to do. Like they got some guys. It's like that defense is fun. But the biggest thing, and I'm trying to moderate myself a little bit, but Baker Mayfield is just so good. Like, and there were people who didn't know who to pick in the draft, and Josh Allen looks like he can't play dead, and Sam Darnold, held out a couple of days because the Jets are insane, and then his third pass was intercepted. Like, and don't get me wrong, I think he will be good. He's super young, but Baker Mayfield looks like the truth in terms of.
Could you imagine if you had a Browns podcast and you had Baker Mayfield as your 5th rated quarterback? I would be embarrassed, but I don't know.
I mean, look, it's a burden to be right all the time is my thing. It gets frustrating to be so good at this, where you're like, if the Browns just listened to me, we'd be all set. But no, I mean, look, I think my overall message would be, they've got dudes on that team. It's just going to take longer than people want it to for them to really flesh out and be the good team. Like, they're not going to win 11 more games than they did last year. Like, it's just not going to happen. But if they win 4 or 5 and and you're seeing guys really grow into this thing, and you get a coach that looks like he belongs in the NFL, then suddenly you can talk about making that big jump next year and the year after, where you're talking about.
What I think, Pete, the 2015 Jags, right? They win 3 games, 4 games. Got rid of Gus Bradley.
Yes, that is where we are.
Yep, that's exactly where I think we were. We were 2 years behind the Jags in their rebuild. I that's kind of where I feel like we're at. We had the cornerback. They got Ramsey. We had Denzel Ward. We're still a cornerback away from what it looks like, but we're close, man. This is the road to redemption this year, Pete. We're close. The road is almost back to the promised land. We're going to be there, man. I can feel it. Like, you got Myles Garrett, you got Baker Mayfield, you have those are your leaders on both sides of the ball. I mean, this is good places, man. We're in a good spot, and it is an exciting time to be a Browns fan.
Right. So whether it's political insurrection or zombie apocalypse, just hold off for a couple years and give me this. Like, this is my fear, is they finally got all these guys and the world's going to end, and I'm still not going to get to see it. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, they have so many guys. Sashi Brown was great. John Dorsey seems to be great. And those two combined, like the building they've done, where you're like, they got a lot of picks right, that they're in that position, and they've got to obviously continue that, but that they hit on a lot of those picks. And, if they can get some guys to sort of rebound, Corey Coleman, the big, the quote unquote make or break year, if he makes, then this is going to be, another quicker step, to being where they need to be. Like, I don't think people understand, which is why I've never understood the people who are like trying to get rid of him, where, he had, like I said earlier, he had a Will Fuller vibe the first day. The second day, and I got some people saying don't say that, in terms of they don't want to hear this and it'd be too good to be true. He's had a little bit of a Deshaun Jackson vibe the second day, where he went from not only catching the ball deep, where he started catching the ball underneath, fighting through contact, keeping his feet going. And there was one where he sort of realized he slipped through on just a quick little 2-yard slant, and he would have housed it. Like, he is starting to understand, and he didn't drop a ball. Like, these are things where you're like, and that was the day that Jarvis Landry allegedly said, he had an offer to take the Veterans Day off and didn't do it because he didn't want to. And you have people, criticizing Myles Garrett, whatever. And my response to that is, fuck off. Myles Garrett is a superstar. He will be fine. I do not want him to get stepped on it. Any of that shit. But anyway, if that's the response that Corey Coleman has when sort of Jarvis Landry, again, we talked about this, and hopefully it continues, where he's got that leadership role, where suddenly Corey Coleman steps up, doesn't drop a pass all day, and is easily the best receiver on the field, looks like a number one dude, if that's where this is headed, and you get Josh Gordon back, and you have Njoku clicking, then all of a sudden, you know, you have quarterback and Nick Chubb and Duke Johnson, and Duke Johnson barely practiced either day I was there, but he's so good that now you're talking about it's a couple more things on offense, like finding it, you know, the long – and I think Sean Coleman will be fine for a year, but, you know, you got to find the next stud. And now we're talking about little fixes as opposed to we got to get a receiver and a running back and a tight end and 3 offensive linemen and a quarterback. Now you're looking to now it's just finding the right coach for him, and let's go. Get better, get reps. And now you're talking about how many are we going to put on a team like the Steelers type deal, as opposed to maybe we'll be competitive this year. Like, that's where we are. So patience. It will happen. They've got dudes that can play in the right spots, and they're going to be really good, faster than people think, but not as fast as they want.
Good stuff, Pete. We really appreciate it. We owe you a big thanks too, man. We were just talking about this at the beginning of the pod. We did a little intro for our year 3, but we owe you a big thank you for all the time you've come on here and contributed, and unbelievable work for the draft show. I mean, you've just done so much for us. We really appreciate that.
I'm happy to do it. Obviously, as you guys know, I was a fan when I figured out who you guys were, and you are one of multiple podcasts where I think it is good for sort of Browns fandom, for the people who, like me, were in the fans area at training camp, and we're thinking of choking out some of the fans who were like, I heard Joe Thomas is coming out of retirement, or heckling dudes, that there's a sort of a place where they can go where they get their fix, and they're not, they're not gonna, run somebody off the road in a road rage incident because somebody was trying to say Joe Thomas was going to play this year or whatever. That I'm happy to do it, but I will note I do take money. I just like to throw that out there. I will happily take your money, but no, I'm happy. Obviously, you guys, I'm happy with Sin of the Fathers, and some of the other in Lockdown Browns and a lot of these other podcasts. I know the Browns Wire just started one, and if I can find a way to freaking download it, I will listen to it. That I am excited, and I'll be blunt about what we've talked about. Is it's basically sort of the Rebel Empire, the Rebel Alliance type deal of pushing, the mainstream sort of thing, and all these cliches and whatnot, to be better serving fans in terms of what they actually need from. And this is not aimed at radio stuff so much as it is to a little bit, but like. And the guy I think who's really done a great job is sort of getting it is Doug Maurice, who I really, I got a chance to meet at camp, who sort of understands where this thing is going in terms of podcast as a conversation that is for somebody who can handle more than a 10-minute bit on the radio.
Or a 240 character,
right? There's a place for a conversation to happen, and I feel like those. That underground is sort of pushing the media sort of into a better direction, and certain things are going to get left behind 850, that they're going to go out of business, that they are not catering to those people. And I don't know how many people have said to me, or I'm sure have said to you guys, that thank God we found you. Now I don't have to listen to so-and-so anymore, or read so-and-so anymore, that I've actually got a place where I can actually, sink my teeth into something where I'm excited to listen to it. And, and obviously you guys have now taken money from Patreon people, which I'm super happy about, but they're also, you obviously had Cosmo on, Jay Cosmo, and some of these other guys who are like intelligent and want to sort of get in. So now it's sort of like evolving into its own little sort of organism that, there's just a better, more intelligent fan base, for a fan base that really deserves to have a more intelligent conversation about football.
Yeah, that was
well
sort
said.
of like that was sort of like some of our idea was to start bringing on some people that want to do this and start to give everybody an outlet and really increase the volume of podcasts that are out there and that you can support and listen to and be a part of.
Yeah, smarter fans, man. So you don't have to listen to the nonsense.
Oh
You don't have
my
to listen
God!
to hecklers,
Yes,
man.
smarter
Heckling
fans.
your own team at training camp. Well done, sir. You should be very proud. And if I'm there, you will definitely be getting smacked back upside the head. So do not do that. That's ridiculous. Dude, do I come to your lawn mowing job and yell at you for missing weeds? I think not.
I will say training camp brings together the most random, weird groups of people to this because it's free as long as you can download the thing and you've got that neighborhood and everything. It's a weird, surreal experience to go to training camp. And the people who I need next year when I can actually, if I do the same thing I did this year, I need to actually apply for press credentials because I was about to lose my mind on a few people. But I stayed quiet and just I tweeted through it. But yeah, it's an weird deal out there. But yeah, they're fun, man. They're getting better.
All right, appreciate it, man.
Well,
why don't you?
I gotta go. I can hear my.
All right, Greg, you can bounce.
Kids killing one another.
We got this.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up.
Pete, tell everyone where to find your work. I know you're writing a fuck ton of articles, so shout that out.
That's a lot.
You can find me at NFL Spin Zone, but the easiest way to get in touch with me or follow anything I do is just follow the Twitter at @_Pete Smith_ and try not to drive me insane. And I won't kill you.
That's fair enough.
There's a few people who are pushing it with the Jarvis Landry's a great athlete thing that just makes me want to insane. I have high school kids that are more athletic than Jarvis Landry. I promise you.
All right. Let's see. What are our credentials? We're on Twitter at STS Podcasts. Our email is survivingtheseason@gmail.com. You can hit us up there. It's #Road to Redemption. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Start now. Thank you.